Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's topic is quite interesting, and this topic is came to me courtesy Chemistry World, which is an chemistry magazine published by Royal Society of Chemistry. And there was this article which talked about the regulation of genetically modified organisms. In particular, the discussion was on genetically modified plants and their regulation in the United Kingdom or UK. So recently UK has allowed the commercial development of genetically modified plants, and the topic in itself was very interesting. So let me give you a very basic idea of what exactly it is. Basically stands for genetically manipulating the DNA of a particular organism to get certain advantages or benefits. So if I talk right now particularly in the context of plants, well, it can be done for a variety of reasons. First could be to make it herbicide resistant, okay, so that if you spray herbicides it does not affect the plant. Second could be to basically get rid of certain viruses that are that hamper the growth of the plant or destroy the plant itself. And thirdly, it could be used for growing the crop yield. And I have written down certain other points. Increase or decrease a particular nutrient. Okay, I will talk about certain examples also where these advantages have played a crucial role. So like I was saying, that the article mentioned that the government has agreed, the UK is particularly in England. Okay, so United Kingdom comprises of certain other areas as well, so I'm particularly talking about England. So now England has finally approved the commercial development of genetically modified plants, which is something which has made biotechnology folks very enthusiastic. If I talk about the Indian stats, India has allowed only one commercial development of a plant, of a genetically modified plant, which was BT cotton. Okay, and BT stands for a particular bacteria. It's called Bacillus, and I do not really know the pronunciation. I will give you the link somewhere over here, the exact name of the bacterium. So certain genes from that bacterium are taken for development of these BT varieties of cash crops. So like BT cotton is there, that has been grown in India since a very long time, about 20 years. After that, there were certain food crops also that were brought in for commercial development, but they were blocked because of certain reasons. You might have heard about BT brinjal and recently about GM mustard. Okay, so these are certain genetically modified or genetically manipulated crops that have been tried to introduce, that the Indian government has tried to introduce commercially, but there have been a lot of petitions which have blocked its commercial development. So you can read more about it. I'll attach all the links down in the description box. So the advantages of these genetically modified crops start from the very early example. There was a variety of papaya that was grown in Hawaii, okay, and it got infested with ringworm, and that really affected the farmers tremendously because their crops were getting destroyed. And so the plant scientist, they genetically modified the papaya, and it's called rainbow papaya. Okay, so that genetically modified papaya is called the rainbow papaya. Secondly, if I talk about how England in particular is going to make use of this, there are two different varieties of strains that they plan on introducing commercially. One of them is a wheat strain, okay, a genetically modified wheat strain, which basically what it does is that there's an amino acid called asparagine in the wheat, and when you cook wheat, it can lead to the formation of acrylamide, and acrylamide is a carcinogen. So what the plant scientists have done, or the biotechnologists have done, is that they have tried to reduce the amount of asparagine in this particular wheat strain which has been genetically modified. So now that the government has given them the green light, most probably this will be commercially also grown. It will take a long time before it comes into the farms, but the development could finally start. Secondly, there is also a variety of genetically modified tomato which has a very high amount of vitamin D3, which is a very essential vitamin for our growth or for our well-being. one thing that I have seen in a lot of articles where it has been mentioned that whatever genetic modifications you are going to be doing in these plants, they have to come from that is something that should have that could also come from natural breeding or from crossbreeding. Okay, so that means that is the genetic modifications are only allowed which can come naturally over time. So let's say if you do crossbreeding, like you might have heard about hybrid tomatoes. If you order from Big Basket or from Swiggy or whatever grocery store you like, online grocery store you order from, there are different varieties, right? So you might have seen hybrid tomato. So basically those tomatoes are developed by crossbreeding of different species. So the crux of the matter is that you can do genetic modifications, but those genes should not be unnatural to that particular variety of fruit or vegetable, right? I mean, it should be something that should come naturally. It might take, let's say, 20 years. If you genetically modify it, it might happen, let's say, in a few months. So that is, I think, one restriction that has been put forth by the governments. So European Union in particular, so if I talk about the regulations, South American countries and North America is particularly open about genetically modified plants, but other countries, particularly European Union, they are quite skeptical of approving new technologies, or basically reducing the regulatory barrier to certain genetically modified crops or organisms in particular. And they're very stringent, right? So until and unless they do not see a long-term study which says that these kind of crops are safe, it's very difficult to convince the European Union to approve these kind of new genetically modified organisms. One good example I would like to give is of Japan. So Japan, in fact, has gone beyond plants, and it has given approval of 2 varieties of fish, genetically modified fishes, which lead, basically the advantage of that genetically modified fishes is that they grow larger. Okay, so let's say if their size is this much, if you genetically modify them, they can grow bigger in size. There might be other countries also, but this is some information that I could collate together and bring forth. If you find this topic interesting, maybe you can read more about it. All the links that I have referred to, I'll give you the link down in the description box. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.